Marchman. Okay, yeah. So the auto correlation, I can say the dynamic values will be identified automatically during the script recording, or second one is during the code generation, or during the completion of the script replay. By enabling those three options in the recording options. Now let's go back to our script. Now I'm going to take voter ID application. Why? Because voter ID application developed using the .NET technology. Okay, using the .NET technology. Okay, now I will show you different applications also. I can say different .NET related applications to see the difference of the dynamic values. Okay, now let me take, instead of voter ID, let me take another application called Bestcom. Okay, so let's see the Bestcom. Okay, come on, what is this? Okay, now if you see the URL, what is the end name? It's showing as .axpx, correct? .axpx, correct? Now if you go back to our voter ID, if you go to our voter ID, let's see the voter ID URL. Now click on the assembly constancy. Now you can able to see AXPX at it redirected to roles, correct? If you want, I will click once again. If you click on assembly constancy, first it will ends with .axpx, then it redirects to roles, correct? Let's see. If you see, it redirected. Okay. All right. So now let's take this Bestcom, I can say now. So when you click on the pay bill, so let's so click on online payment. Okay, where you can see the account ID and captcha. So that's fine. Now now let's go back to our script. Okay, now let's open the voter ID. Now if you see the name roles.axpx, correct? Which means, can I say the voter ID developed using a technology called .NET? Am I correct? If you come down again, it redirected to roles. Correct? Okay, now let's go to the recording options. Okay, now we will be revisiting recording options once again. Now, so I told you in the class I will be discussing about this code generation, configuration and rules. Correct? Now, what do you mean by code generation? Means in the code generation, if you see correlation scan, which means during the script generation, I can say the code generation or script generation, scan the any dynamic values which are identified in the script. Scan the dynamic values which are identified during the code generation. Now, configuration. Enable the rule scan. Next, second option, automatically correlate the values found. What do you mean? That means when you enable the rule scan, if any dynamic values are identified, then automatically correlate those values. Next one, record scan. Next one, replay scan. So record scan means during the script recording, scan any dynamic values are captured. Scan those dynamic values. Replay scan means after completion of script replay, scan if any dynamic values are identified, then display those dynamic values. So that is the reason I did not explain these options during the recording options. Okay, now these options will help you to do the autocorrelation. These options will help you to do the autocorrelation. Okay guys, clear? Any confusion on the autocorrelation enabling the options?
Say again అన్నావా
Sorry?
మళ్ళీ ఒకసారి
Yeah, sure. Alright. So, autocorrelation, by seeing the name itself, do the autocorrelation of dynamic values automatically. In order to automatically do the correlation of dynamic values, we have to enable the recording options of code generation, configuration and rules. Code generation, configuration and rules. So code generation, correlation scans. So enable the correlation scan during the code generation. If you see, when I stop at the recording, it shows the code generation uh, progress, right? During the code generation, scan any dynamic values there in that request. That helps when you enable the correlation scan. Next, configuration. Configuration is nothing but, so the rule scan means depends upon the rule which we are going to enable. If you enable that rule scan, then it automatically identify the dynamic values in the script and correlate it. Record scan. During the script recording, scan any dynamic values are available in that request. Replay scan. So during the script replay, scan if any dynamic values are there. Okay. Now comes into the rule. So there are, if you see, there are n number of rules are there. What do you mean by rule? Is Now, rule is nothing but by default, the load runner team, I can say the micro focus team or the HP team, they define some set of rules for, I can say they define the set of rules for application to application, which means that if I'm going to use .NET based application or Oracle based applications or Siebel based applications or PeopleSoft applications or flexed applications. So what happens means irrespective of application to application, what technology they use to develop that application. Either they used .NET, either they used Oracle, or they used Siebel, or they used Flex, or they used Citrix. The applications are different, but technology is same. Which means if you take 10 applications also, all 10 applications having some set of constant dynamic values are there for that particular technology. Constant dynamic value boundaries are constant for those 10 applications of the same technology. Now, we correlated view state, event validation, correct, for voter ID. Everyone can agree. Hello, can you hear me, guys?
Yes, yes.
Yes. So if you take the voter ID application, we correlated view state and event validation, and because of the length, it's not captured the dynamic value. Then we implemented website max HTML param length, right? Now, if you take the same .NET based application rule, if you expand the rule, you can able to see the same names. Can you able to see the view state? Can you able to see event validation? Right? If you see the left and right boundary, view state value. Correct? Now, what I'm going to do is, so what I'm going to do is, okay, let me go back to script of the dynamic value. View state. If you see left boundary underscore view state value equal to, correct? And left boundary for event validation is underscore event validation value equal to. Now, if you go back to ASP.NET, I can say, now let's see the view state. What is the left boundary showing? Underscore view state value equal to. Is it matching our voter ID application dynamic value view state boundary? Right? And if you see the event validation also, underscore event validation value equal to, correct? Which means, okay, now we took the voter ID application. Now I showed you the view state and event validation, which is developed using the .NET, correct? .NET technology. Now let's take the same. I can say I shown the best come, right? Now let me open the bestcom, okay, and see whether the bestcom also having the similar dynamic values or not. Why? Because the bestcom also used a technology, I can say developed using a technology called .NET, I can say ASP.NET technology. Now let's see, okay. Let me Google from first bestcom, okay. Now I'm going to open this bestcom URL. Let me copy the link. So let me open another tab. Correct? This is the URL only, right? Now, in order to when I click on enter, it will open the bestcom website. Correct? So, in order to capture or in order to find out those requests, there is a option called developer tool. Developer tool is nothing but when you perform the steps, the developer tool will shows the set of requests executed for that specified step. So when I enter, the developer tool will capture those set of requests to display the home page of bestcom, so which is available in the Chrome browser. Keep this is important. So sometimes we used to identify the dynamic value boundaries using the developer tool also. Okay, now let me open the developer tool. So you can click on three tabs, more tools, open the developer tool. Okay, now let me close this. Now this is the developer tool. Now when I click on enter here, so it automatically captures the request. Now if you go back, you can able to see, is it captured the request? See the URL myhome.axpx, correct? Everyone? Now let's go back to first URL. What is the first URL? myhome.axpx, correct? Now just click on myhome.axpx and just see the response. Response, it's not. Now session timeout, it's not. Now let's take my home. So did we got the response back? Correct? Status code 200 and response back. Now let's see whether we have view state event validation or not in this response. Now type Control F, just type view state. If you see the view state, so now I'm selecting entire, I can say value, go copy this. Now go to our or let me open the notepad plus. I'm sorry. Let me open the notepad plus plus so that you can understand better. Okay. All right. Notepad plus plus. No, it's not there. How come? Okay. Now let me maximize. Control A, delete. Now now if you see, this is the view state boundaries, right, left boundary, right boundary, right? Now let's go back to our script and see. Let's copy this, Control N, copy this. I'm sorry. Let me remove ignore cases. We kept ignore cases, right? Let me remove this. Now, if you see two different applications, right? One is voter ID, another one is BESCOM. But if you see the view state is common for both the applications. Am I correct? Everyone?
Yes.
Yes. And let's see the event validation also. So we have event validation also, right? Now just go down, event validation. Now if you see event validation, control and control C. Now this is the event validation of BESCOM. Now let's go to our script. Now let's copy the event validation. Control and copy. If you see, both are same. The boundaries are same, right? Is there boundaries are changing? If we take any .NET based application, so the common dynamic values are view state, event validation, event argument, event generator. That also you can able to find out here. If you see that part also, see event argument, event target, correct? Now, if you go back to script and see the code generation, I'm sorry, recording options and expand the rule, you can see the same options also. Event argument, event target, correct? So these are the constant, which means they define the rule and by placing the left and right boundary, which is constant for any .NET based application. So that is the reason. Now that is the reason the Micro Focus or the HP team, they created set of rules, which means whatever rule they have defined, if this rule of left and right boundary matched, then it automatically correlates because of we enable the rule scan. We enable the rule scan. So if you enable the rule scan, you have to enable the rule also. You have to enable the rule also. If it is .NET based application, then you have to enable .NET rule. If you are Citrix based application, then you have to enable the Citrix based rule. Any confusion, guys? So far? Everyone? Any confusion, guys, on the autocorrelation side?
What if it is developed in HTML? CSS?
One sec, guys. sorry guys. See, the HTML, or I can say Java based applications. Let's take HTML is it's a context, I can say static pages of that HTML request. Okay, so for that it may not be identify the dynamic value automatically, where we have to do the manual correlation. Okay, now now let's create the new script. Okay, now let's create the new web-based script. Use the bestcom URL only for autocorrelation. Okay, why? Because we already done the manual correlation for voter ID. I don't want to regenerate and do the autocorrelation. So let's use the bestcom application so that you can you know you can find out. Okay, bestcom. I'm just giving autocorrelation name. Don't give. But for understanding purpose, I'm just giving bestcom application autocorrelation. Okay, click on create. So let me close all the browsers. Okay. Now start recording. Now I'm going to give the bestcom URL. Oh, I'm sorry. Bestcom. Let me copy the URL. Copy link address. Now let's go back here. Now control V. Okay, guys. Now let me close all. Now, so before start recording, I'm going to verify the recording options and see whether it enable the rule or not. If it is not, then I'm going to enable the rule. Now, if you see, the rule was not enabled, right? Now, code generation, yes, correlation scan, configuration, rules are enabled, and rule, I'm going to enable the .NET based rule. Okay. Now, click on OK. Now I'm going to record the bestcom website and see what happens. Okay, now next one, pay bill. Now next one, click on online payment. Okay, so these three steps, because I don't have account ID, so let's use these steps. Now I'm closing this application. Now stop recording. Okay, no problems. So this is unnecessary, I can say updates are up recording. That's okay. Let's stop record and see that what happens. Now just close this. Now yeah, it's not captured. Okay, okay. Let me do one thing. Let me Google Bestcom. I guess I have the account. Bestcom. Let me log in. We'll see. gmail.com. No. One sec, guys. Let me quickly check. Why? Because when I directly click on pay bill, it's not capturing any dynamic value. So it's just showing the normal request. There is no post request. So that is the reason we are not seeing the dynamic value. Okay. So let me try. Forgot user ID. Guess I have the user ID. Account ID. Account ID. I don't know. User ID. Let me check. ham@gmail.com. So if you are disconnecting from WebEx, please rejoin back. Okay. Okay. Alright, guys. I have got the password. Let me do it. Okay. Now let's record again. So let me log in, and whether I can able to log in or not. Click on sign in. Yeah. Okay. All right. No problems, guys. So let me do logout. Now we can record this login logout. Okay. Now go back here again. Start recording. Now click on start record. Yes. Okay. All right. Now enter the email ID and password. Now click on sign in. Okay. Now click on view bill. Okay. Now click on make payment. Okay, till here it's fine. Okay. Now I'm doing the logout. Click on logout. Okay. Now stop. I can say close this application and stop recording and see what happens. All right, super. Now click on close report. Now if you see, did I place this function manually? Website max HTML param, did I place it manually?
No.
No, it automatically places it, right? Because the dynamic value length is more than 256 characters. Am I correct? Okay. All right. Now let's go back to the script. Now, if you see here, did I correlate it manually? View state. No, right? And if you see event validation, did I correlate it manually? It automatically correlated. Why? Because if you see the name, correlation comment, automatic rules, automatic rule. Why? Because we enable the .NET rule where these are the .NET dynamic value boundaries are constant. That is the reason it automatically correlated this dynamic value boundaries by the seeing the left and right boundary matches on the our rule. We enabled our .NET rule, so which both are matching, so it automatically correlates those dynamic values. See here, this is the second occurrence, correct? That is the reason it's showing _1, _1, correct? If you see, it automatically places the function for event validation for view state. Am I correct? Everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So any confusion, guys, on the autocorrelation side? Now let's go back to our class notes. Now autocorrelation. So in order to do autocorrelation, what is our first step? In order to autocorrelation, what is our first step? In order to do autocorrelation, enable the correlation rules in recording options. Correct? Recording options. So what is the first one? Enable correlation scan. Correct? Everyone agree? Second one, enable rule scan. Enable rule scan, then correlate values automatically found. Correct? Next, What is the next one? Which option we have to enable? Next one, record
Yes.
scan. Correct. Next, fourth one is replace scan. Correct. So these options should be enabled in order to correlate dynamic values automatically. And one more thing, if any values are not correlated automatically, you can just click on Design Studio and it populates if any new values are there. Now scanning for correlations. Now if you see, it's ASP, I can say ASP net view state correlated and event validation correlated, right? And some of the values you can see which is available, right? Now if you see UIPID, if you see here UIPID, it generated one new value, right? Did we given manually this value? No, right?
No.
Now you can see this value boundaries by expanding. This I already told you, right? Right click on the dynamic value and you can see the boundaries, correct? Now if you see correlation type, where you can see the regular expression and boundary based. So when you select boundary based, which function it generates? Which correlation function it generates? Come on guys, I guess you people are not practicing. When we select boundary base, it generates a function called WebResparam EX. Correct? Now I'm
Yes.
going to select expression based. Expression based. Okay. Now I'm going to correlate this and see the another function WebResparam REGEXP, right? So C underscore UIPID. Okay, now click on correlate. Now just close this and you can see the a function called WebResparam REGEXP. Where it is? Correlated, right? Maybe in top. Now let me give this function also in this notes so that you know you can compare WebResparam. Did I have not given WebResparam EX? Are given, right? No? Yeah, here. If you see the differentiation of WebResparam EX, WebResparam REGEXP, what is the differentiation? There is no left and right boundary concept in the REGEXP. It shows the REGEXP equal to, so this is the left boundary and this is the right boundary, followed by this is the regular expression. What is the regular expression? Open bracket dot star question mark closed bracket is the regular expression. Okay, what that represents? Open bracket dot star question mark closed bracket. Okay, so I'm giving task to you. Just Google it. What regular expression refers, which means this regular expression refers open bracket dot star closed bracket refers in the regular expression? Can you able to find the answer, guys?
Yes, sir.
Every try that and let me know. If not, I can explain what open bracket represents, what dot represent, what star represents, what question mark represents. Okay, guys?
Okay, sir.
Everyone clear? Or any confusion on the autocorrelation part?
Again, once listen, then after I'll let you know on
Yeah, sure.
record.
So please start practicing. If you are not practice, it won't help you guys. Practice is very important. Okay, you have to start practice. Okay, now
Okay.
once enable above options. Okay, one more thing is enable the rule also. We have to enable the rule, right? Enable the rules as well. Once enable above all options, once enable the above all options, then during the recording or so once enable above all the options, then it automatically correlates the dynamic values. If you if some of the values not correlated, what you have to do, click on design studio. Correct, we just saw now, right? Design studio, then it populates the list of dynamic values. Correct, dynamic values, and select the value and expand the option to see the boundaries of the dynamic value. Correct, boundaries of the dynamic value. Next, select the type of correct, select, let me give the exact name. Type of correlation. Correct, either it's boundary based or expression based. If you see here, it's regular expression, boundary based. If you select one more value and expand, you can see the either boundary based or expression based. Correct. Select the type of with that type of correlation definition. Boundary based or correlation based. Okay. Everyone clear? Or any confusion about the steps? Okay. So correlation is very important, guys. So that is the reason close, I guess, we are discussing this correlation concept last 1 week. Okay, it's very, very important concept. Okay, take any different type kind of application apart from our applications. If you take any sample application, start record and see if any dynamic values are capturing. So I just shown you the bestcom website, correct? Similarly, you can use different kind of applications. Just Google it, you can get one sample applications and try to record that application and see if you can able to get it any new dynamic values and find out how to find out those boundaries of that dynamic value and correlate it. Okay, guys.
Okay,
In
okay, Anna.
any confusion on the correlation concept so far? Don't ask without practice. I'm telling you guys again, you have to start practicing. So blindly, if you go, okay, I can listen the class and I can practice later, then your knowledge should be 0%. Okay, practice is important. You have to do the practice. Okay, now let me keep the task also. Otherwise, I may forget tomorrow.
Tomorrow also take 6:30 Anna. We don't like 9, 8. That time don't take Anna, please.
Tomorrow also 6:30. Okay, fine.
Anna.
Okay, no problems. So, okay, task, you have to get the info, what open closed bracket represents, what dot represents, what question mark represents, right? What star represents. Just to Google that regular expression. Just type regular expression of this and you can get the info. If not, let me know. I can explain this. Okay?
Okay, Anna. That notes and both today link and previous last class link, please share to that Anna.
Yeah, I will do that. Don't worry. Okay? And
Okay.
yeah, so that's about the correlation concept. And the next topic is transactions. Next topic is transactions. So as of now, we just recorded the steps and we correlated. But how? Okay, now assume that as a layman, can I understand what is these steps? This request belongs to which step? Can I able to understand? As a layman, assume that I'm the layman. Can I understand this request belongs to on which step? And here, now if you take the login part also, where the username and password, yeah, here. As a layman, can I understand this request belongs to on which step? I'm sorry, guys. Can I able to understand as a layman? No, right? I don't know which this request belongs to on which step. Correct? And one more thing. How I can find out how much time it takes to complete this processing the request? How I can find out this request response time? How much time it is taking to complete this request? Correct? When I replay my script, how I can find out how much time is taken to complete this request? In order to measure that response time, we have to define the step name by giving the transactions. Transaction is nothing but the measuring the step response time by giving the step name. By giving the step name. Okay, transactions is used to measure the step response time. Is used to measure the step response time. Okay, so how I can define the transaction means, so we have the steps, right? List of steps. If you take our applications, let's fly, I can say web tours, or maybe one more thing is there, right? Instead of photo ID, one more. What is one more application?
BS application.
Best come apart from that, one more we you people are
JPEG,
recorded, right? JPET store.
JPEG
JPEG,
store.
JPEG store.
Yeah. If you take the JPET store, we have close to 10 steps, right? Open the application, then click on sign in, then enter username and password, then click on login. These are the steps, right? So each step we have to define the step name during the script recording. During the script recording, when you perform the step, before performing the step, you have to define the step name called transaction. You have to define the transaction name. How? Means, so let's, I can say, let's record the same BESCOM only once again and define the steps once again. Okay. Now I'm going to start recording again. Okay. Now click on start record. Oh, okay. Let me do one thing. I missed the password. Let me keep the password. Copy this. Oh, I pasted here. That's okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to record once again and start recording and place the transactions. Come on, what's happening? Okay, let me use the different browser, not the URL. Let me close this. Let me copy. Now select the Chrome browser, paste it. Now click on start recording. All right. Now, what is our next step? Click on sign in, right? So after enter the username and password, we are doing click on sign in, right? Step. Now to perform the step, we have to define the step name by, if you see here, there is a name called insert start transaction. Insert start transaction. Now click on insert transaction. Now define the name of the transaction. What is the transaction means? I can say what is the step we are performing. Click on sign in. Correct? This is the step only, right? We are performing. The step is nothing but now the transaction name. Now click on OK. Now I started the transaction. Now I'm going to enter the credentials. Now copy the password. Now paste the password here. Now click on sign in. Once my step is completed and page loaded, then I can end my step. I can end my step. Come on, what's happening? Maybe some issue with my network. That's okay. So let me end this and let me stop recording. We can record tomorrow 1 second. That's fine. Now let's see whether it plays the transaction or not. Okay. Now just click on close the report. This is not required. Now come down. Now if you see here, LR underscore start transaction, click on sign in. Then once request is completed, you can able to see end transaction. LR underscore end transaction means ending the step. Start the step. I can say start the transaction, then perform the step. One step is completed, end the transaction. Okay, so that we can discuss in tomorrow class with the details about what do you mean by transaction, what is the transaction naming conventions we have to define, right? And what is the transaction status are there, and status, what do you mean by auto, what do you mean by LR underscore pass, and LR underscore fail, so that details we can discuss in our tomorrow class. Okay, and I will share the class notes with you guys. Okay, please go through the, not go through, just go through the correlation concept and start practicing. You have to practice the correlation. It's very important concept, guys. Okay.
Okay. Okay, I need to talk to you on a personally. Then when will you free?
Maybe you can call at 9 o'clock, Asha.
Okay, Anna. Okay, Anna.
Okay, guys. Any questions, guys, from your side? You can feel free to ask me.
అన్నా ఇది స్క్రిప్ట్ రిప్లై చేస్తుంటే అది అవ్వట్లేదు అన్న అది.
Just let me stop my screen sharing. You can share it.
ఓకే. ఇది ఇలా వస్తుంది అన్నది కెనాట్ స్టార్ట్ రిప్లై డ్యూ టు కంపిలేషన్ ఎర్రర్.
Compilation errors means, I told you, right, why compilation errors ఎందుకు వస్తాయి, which means that you have not did proper I can say boundaries, you have not placed, maybe you missed something value. Okay, now compilation error వచ్చింది
ఓకే.
కదా. Now click OK, go to output window. Output window లో ఏం ఎర్రర్ వచ్చిందో చెక్ చేయి. డౌన్ అవుట్పుట్ విండో ఉందా? ఎస్. వాట్ ఈస్ ఎక్స్పెక్టింగ్? సింటాక్స్ ఎర్రర్ అంటే
సింటాక్స్ ఎర్రర్.
సింటాక్స్ ఎర్రర్ అంటే నువ్వు మేబీ ఫంక్షన్ రాసిన తప్పైనా ఉండాలి, ఆర్ సంథింగ్ ఎల్స్ ఏమైనా మాడిఫై చేస్తున్నది. ఓకే, జస్ట్ క్లిక్ ఆన్ దట్ ఎక్స్పెక్టింగ్. సింటాక్స్ ఎర్రర్ మీద డబుల్ క్లిక్ ఇవ్వు. జస్ట్ స్క్రోల్ అప్, ఒకసారి స్క్రోల్ అప్ చేయి.
అక్కడ వరకు
ఓకే, ఏమైనా కోరిలేషన్ రాసావా ఫంక్షన్స్? ఇల్లీగల్ ఎక్స్ప్రెషన్. ఓకే, ఒకసారి పైకి వెళ్ళు, స్క్రిప్ట్ పైకి వెళ్ళు, టాప్కి వెళ్ళు, స్క్రిప్ట్ టాప్కి వెళ్ళు. ఓకే, కమ్ డౌన్, స్లోగా రా. కమ్ డౌన్, కమ్ డౌన్. ఒకసారి యూజర్ అన్నిటికి వెళ్ళు. కమ్ డౌన్. ఇక్కడ ఎక్స్ట్రా రేస్ లో లాస్ట్ రిమూవ్ చేసేసావు చూడు. డౌన్
రిమూవ్ చేశాను.
ఎంటర్ చే, ప్రెస్ ఎంటర్. లాస్ట్ క్యాపిటల్, అన్ని క్యాపిటల్స్. లాస్ట్ ను కూడా రిమూవ్ చేసేసావు. బ్రాకెట్ క్లోజ్, సెమీకోలన్. సెమీకోలన్. ఓకే, ఇప్పుడు కంపైల్ చేయి. గో టు రీప్లేకి వెళ్ళు. టాప్ లో రీప్లే టాప్ ఉంది కదా, టాప్.
ఓహో సారీ.
దట్స్ ఓకే, నో ప్రాబ్లం. ఇట్స్ ఓకే, స్టార్ట్ చేసావు కదా స్క్రిప్ట్ రీప్లే. ఇప్పుడు రన్ అవుతుందిలే. రన్ అవుతుందా? లాస్ట్ అనేది మ్యాండేటరీ ఫర్ ఈచ్ అండ్ ఎవ్రీ ఫంక్షన్ కి. లాస్ట్ అనేది మ్యాండేటరీ అట్రిబ్యూట్. సార్ అవుట్పుట్ క్లిక్ చేయి, డౌన్ లో ఉంది కదా అవుట్పుట్. ఓకే, రన్ అయింది. ఓకే, ఇప్పుడు ఫెయిల్ అయింది. ఎక్కడ ఫెయిల్ అయింది, ఎందుకు ఫెయిల్ అయింది ఫైండ్ అవుట్ చేసి కోరిలేషన్ చేయి. ఓకే
Okay. Okay. Okay.
రైట్. సో ఎనీ అదర్ క్వశ్చన్స్ గైస్? Everyone? Okay, no questions. So probably let's, if no questions, then let's connect tomorrow at the same time 6:30 and we can continue on the transactions. Okay.
Okay.
Okay guys, thank you all. I will share the recorded sessions today and class notes.